David Fincher's new film Zodiac is based on real events, and here are the facts. Fact number 1. Zodiac is the most notorious serial killer in American history. Fact number 2. He taunted authorities with coded letters to the press. Fact number 3. His identity remains unknown to this day. Join us over the next half hour as David Fincher tells us how Zodiac hit very close to home.
He was the reason we went home early on Halloween for 7 years.
Mark Ruffalo admits to having first said no to his part.
The script didn't really tell me enough about the guy, so I passed.
And Jake Gyllenhaal goes on the charm offensive, finding time in his very busy schedule to talk his new role.
It's fine. Okay. I just have to go give an award to Jennifer Aniston. Don't worry about it. It's fine. She got me this role, so no problem. But anyway, no. Take your time. It's fine. She can wait.
Zodiac marks a return to the subject matter that inspired David Fincher's career-making Seven. But being a director who's built a reputation on rebellion and innovation, this time round, he's decided to focus on something else altogether. The group of men who devote their lives to hunting down the hunter.
I was trying to be true to a sense of what it must have been like to be part of this kind of an investigation.
There's no evidence, Robert.
What do you mean there's no evidence? You have him seen with the ciphers, the military blueprints, the bloody knives.
All circumstantial.
I was really interested in how good, caring, empathetic people became less of themselves, were less of all those qualities for the people nearest and dearest to them, and how they sold that out for somebody that they, in a lot of cases, never met.
When is it going to be finished? When you catch him? When you arrest him?
I need to know who he is. I need to stand there. I need to look him in the eye. And I need to know that it's him.
Is that more important than your family's safety?
Of course not.
Is it about Zodiac? No, it's about the Zodiac investigation. Maybe the movie should be called The Zodiac Investigation. But to make a movie about Zodiac and who he might have been, as he once wrote in his letters, I wonder when there's going to be a movie about me. I wonder who will play me. To feed that narcissism, I think, would be morally unconscionable.
I love the idea that this would be a movie that wasn't your kind of typical kind of cotton candy idea of what a serial killer is.
I'm not the Zodiac, and if I was, I certainly wouldn't tell you.
David was veering away from what he did in Seven and what people would expect from him, particularly because of the same genre of movie.
Saddle, action.
He sort of like created part of the genre. He added to it, brought something to it, changed it. It became the high bar of what filmmakers were trying to do to achieve it, and then he came in and just crashed it.
I thought I'd love to be a part of that, you know. I'd love to be a part of people coming into a movie expecting a certain thing that they'd already seen and being totally blown away and surprised by the fact that this director who had done this quintessential serial killer had now just mucked it all up and turned it up on its head.
And action.
I'm always up for a little rowdiness.
But it's surprising that the very movie that made Fincher's name nearly put him off making this one.
I swore I would never make a serial killer movie again, and I had a sort of standing pact with my agent, like, don't send me this stuff. And Josh called and he said, you know, I'm not supposed to send you this, and you told me you don't want to, but you got to read this script. And I said, okay, what is it? And he said, it's called Zodiac. And I said, well, let me read it, because, you know, I identify with this for other reasons than just the material. I grew up in the Bay Area during the Zodiac reign of terror.
The Zodiac killer has come to San Francisco.
And, you know, when you're 7 years old and it becomes apparent to you for the first time, really, that there are people out there who hunt other people. It was kind of life-altering in a way.
I like killing people because man is the most dangerous animal of all.
He was the reason we went home early on Halloween for 7 years, you know. He was that specter, he was that boogeyman.
I can give you a lift to the service station.
Do you always go around helping people in the night?
And when we moved away, I remember thinking to myself, whatever happened to Zodiac? Did they ever catch that guy?
Ask leading expert Robert Graysmith, and the answer is yes. The author of 2 books which serve as Fincher's source material, he's convinced he's solved America's most infamous cold case.
How does one do that?
I like puzzles, I do them a lot.
In the film, Graysmith is played by Jake Gyllenhaal, a role he clinched thanks to a certain one-time co-star.
Jennifer Aniston cast this movie because she was saying, oh my God, Jake, you love him, he's fantastic, and he's so charming, he's so great.
She can be one hell of an influence.
I had seen Jake in Donnie Darko, and I had seen Jake in The Good Girl. I liked that he could be part of something that was dark without having to play dark.
Fincher's belief in Jake was so firm that he refused to take on the Zodiac venture without him, a fact that still weighs heavily on the actor's mind.
Oh, so hard. So hard. I gotta tell you, I mean, the hardest thing is to be sought after. I mean, it is just, I'm telling you, I mean, one day when we have more time, I'm gonna go into it with you because, yeah, it's just tough. It's really tough. No, it's a nice story when you think about it now, because that's the way David is. David gets something in his mind, and that's what he wants. It's wonderful when you're the actor that he wants, and a lot of people may at the time not have a lot of faith in you, and he'll fight for you. He wanted me. He wouldn't make the movie without me. It was essential. That is what you want from a filmmaker.
Starring alongside Jake is Mark Ruffalo, who plays legendary homicide detective Dave Toschi, a part he initially rejected.
I got to kind of fall in love with the part to want to do it, and I guess I didn't know enough, and the script didn't really tell me enough about the guy, so I passed. And Fincher, thank God, and this is atypical of most people on his scale, directors. He's like, hey man, listen, in about 3 weeks I'll have 2/3 of the movie rewritten. Would you be willing to take a look at it again then? And I read it and I was like, I'm in.
For Mark, the idea of playing a real-life cop brought about a heightened sense of duty, so he insisted on meeting Toschi in person.
You know, you're playing somebody whose life was like this. I mean, he had his family who he loved deeply, but then the other side of it was this case and his career.
Gentlemen. Dad.
Paul, where's his shirt?
Right there, boss.
There's your rag the kids talked about. So you got in the front seat to tear off a piece of the shirt.
Is this on the record?
What do you think?
I think as an actor, that's a pretty big responsibility. He said, why does a big Hollywood actor like you want to come and talk to some old murder cop like me? And I said, because I want to get it right.
That's it for part 1 of the show, but don't go anywhere, because coming up after the break, we get to grips with the Zodiac story. Plus, Jake Gyllenhaal feels the heavy price paid for taking on the elusive killer.
I am never going to make a movie about obsession again.
David Fincher wrestles with the conventional Hollywood payoff.
There's plenty of movies where the bad guy gets his. Do I have to do that?
And Mark Ruffalo relives the passion that fueled this project.
This movie's going to outlast all of us, and I'll sleep in a sleeping bag if I have to.
Oh my God, he has a gun.
His gruesome acts are followed by a cryptic letter to the San Francisco Chronicle.
Dear editor, this is the murderer of the 2 teenagers last Christmas at Lake Herman and the girl on the 4th of July.
Robert Graysmith works at the San Francisco Chronicle as a cartoonist and happens to be in the editorial room when the first cipher comes in.
I want you to print this cipher on the front page of your paper.
He wants his code in the afternoon edition.
And becomes fascinated by it immediately.
Graysmith, don't you have a cartoon to finish?
And I think first just as fun, and then slowly as they start coming in, and as the city of San Francisco becomes obsessed with the case, and once it's printed and it's public, he just becomes fascinated like any kind of obsession.
Gripped by the coded messages,
I like killing people because man is the most dangerous animal of all.
Graysmith allies himself with the paper's star crime reporter, Paul Avery.
Sweet mother, what are you doing?
Kid at the lake? This is what he said the Zodiac was wearing.
That's a hell of a getup.
He definitely looks up to Paul Avery. He was sort of like very charismatic and really funny, and at the same time I think had a real dark side, and I think Robert just wanted to be kind of a part of the cool team and cool kid.
What's the story with the kid? He seems a little like touched or medicated.
Graysmith.
Yeah, right.
Still a Boy Scout. He doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he doesn't curse.
And he's back.
The bizarre case quickly attracts San Francisco PD's finest.
Dave Toschi is one of these kind of career cops who started at the bottom. He's really a blue-collar cop. He was also a very well-liked and respected cop at this point, and very well-liked by the media. And so he caught this case, and it was a big case, obviously. It was kind of the right place at the right time.
Lighting's the same up here, so maybe I see someone walking the dog.
You don't want any witnesses, so you tell him to go down a block. Pulls over.
Away from the put it in park, because I'm smart, and I don't want him hitting the accelerator when I shoot him.
Dave just really felt like he had a huge task to catch this guy. I mean, America hadn't experienced anything like this, and it was terrifying.
I shoot him on the right side. He slumps right.
Maybe you've got your hand on his collar when you shoot.
All right, so either way, I just dump a quart of blood in the front seat.
Ironically and sadly enough, the one thing that you could take them to task for was being too by the letter of the law.
What happened was because everyone needed a warrant, and there were different counties, and there were different, that and the red tape that followed, you know, I think it was impossible for these men to solve this case. And the reason why someone like Robert Graysmith gets as close as he does is because he doesn't have to deal with all that stuff.
I can't allow you to help. I can't discuss the case with you. I can't give you information, and I certainly couldn't tell you to go see Ken Narlow in Napa. N-A-R-L-O-W.
These guys didn't know what they were dealing with, and they didn't know what they were dealing with profoundly. The conduit for being able to understand Zodiac ran through the newsroom of the San Francisco Chronicle. If you wanted to get to Zodiac, you kind of had to wait till the Chronicle called you.
Gentlemen.
Dave.
Paul, where's his shirt?
Right there, boss.
They bring those letters and they would photograph them first, and then they would call SFPD and say, hey, we got a new one.
Read the last part.
School children make nice targets. I think I shall wipe out the school bus some morning, just shoot out the front tire, and then pick off the kiddies as they come bouncing out.
And they printed handwriting samples. A newspaper would never, ever print the handwriting of a serial killer on the front page of their paper, because it makes it impossible then, from then on, to tell whether or not because somebody can look at that and forge it.
I say let's go front page. If he kills 12 people, it's not our fault.
It was inconceivable to them at the time that anyone would do that kind of thing.
And the state of technology at the time did little to help matters.
You had, dial phones, and, there are no fax machines, and there's no database for fingerprints.
You got 4 crime scenes, not a single usable print. You can't think of this case in normal police terms.
I remember talking about him on set, that this movie's about the advent of the cell phone. That was kind of the joke the whole time, because I think if there had been cell phones at that time, this case would have been solved pretty quickly. There's a great moment, and I remember David focusing on it. He waited for Robert to dial on the rotary phone the whole number. It was like, I remember thinking, this has got to get cut out of the movie. There's no way. They're going to cut right into this part, right when he finishes, but David keeps it in. He just sits there while he dials the phone, because that's the movie.
The search for truth is a thread that runs right through the Zodiac undertaking. Director David Fincher's pursuit of perfection through authenticity and detail exposed his actors to a new school of discipline.
I am never going to make a movie about obsession again, because it's I don't even, yeah. Some directors spend their time going like, I'm going to work with my actors beforehand for 6 months, and we're all going to get to know each other so well that when we get on, set, it's going to flow. David works in a different way, where he almost like drills it out of you.
Got it. Pick that line up one more time.
He's not a dictator that way, I found it to be a totally collaborative sort of experience. This guy's poured his life into it, The actor should know more about a scene almost than a director does. Or have some strong feeling about it, some strong idea about it, and all he asks is that they do their best. And if he feels for a second that you're not, he gets very frustrated. Because he's like, I'm here, I'll sleep in a sleeping bag if I have to make this movie every moment be perfect, and this is our shot, guys. This is our shot of eternity. This movie's going to outlast all of us. And I'll sleep in a sleeping bag if I have to put that $500 on that screen. So I don't see why you guys aren't doing the same thing,
Got it. Very good.
It just purely comes from his deep passion and love for what he does, And I get it, man. I totally get it.
Let's just do a couple rehearsals just to work out where everything's going to be.
I don't think I fully appreciated everything he gave me. I could open a drawer on set, and there would be all the things already for my character that was mapped out by David. All the pens that Robert Graysmith had, the type of paper, the erasers he used. He's meticulous. I remember having pens in my pocket, and I had picked up a pen, and we did a couple takes, and David was like, is that a ballpoint that he has in his thing? And it was like, because there was like a little click on the top of it. I was like, yeah, I think there's a... And he's like, he wouldn't have a ballpoint there. He'd have a felt tip. Can somebody take that out? Can we delete the rest of those last takes? And you're like, oh my God.
Got it. We're done.
I get why he does it now. If you were to talk to me 6 months ago, I don't know if I would have understood why he was doing it. He paints with people, and it's a frustrating thing sometimes to be an actor in that process, but ultimately the end result when you see something that he's done is really extraordinary. It's an extraordinary painting that he's made.
And so, with plaudits already flooding in and the O word making an early appearance in the press, the signs indicate that Zodiac will make an impact. But while the film will effortlessly both mesmerize and unnerve, it will also ask that the viewer give up any hope of true closure.
Got any hard suspects?
About 90 an hour. I'm up to around 500.
It never occurred to me that we should go, you know what? I know they never found the guy who did this, but we should say they found the guy who did this, because otherwise people are going to be uncomfortable going to their cars.
He's breaking the bed.
Does it allow for an audience to get their kind of, vengeance quotient? No.
There's no evidence, Robert. What do you mean there's no evidence? You have him seen with the ciphers, the military boot prints, the bloody knife.
All circumstantial.
There's plenty of movies where the bad guy gets his. 90% of all movies that get made, feed that need. Do I have to do that?
Dave, you made a mistake! Get away from the window.
I don't feel a need to tell people that everything's okay.
He started breaking all the rules of this particular genre. We have a serial killer where they don't catch a serial killer movie where they don't catch a serial killer. And, I think that's pretty cool. He's like, I'm going to roll the dice on this one.
Hello? Who is this? There is a twist with your head. That's the twist. Because when you leave a movie and it gives you the perfect answer, it's perfect. There's no twist. This movie will your mind. And bleep me out, because it's true. Are you sure there's nobody else in the house?